Okay, at 6 o'clock, we'll go ahead and start our meeting. If you have a cell phone, would you please turn it on quiet? It's very disruptive and it's hard enough to hear in here without the cell phones going on. So if I have a motion, we'll call the meeting to order.
I'll make a motion, we call the meeting to order.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Okay. And before we do our prayer and our pledge, I want to just make a comment. This is a town hall meeting. We do have a copy of our rules of procedure and everything, and we're going to follow some of those throughout our meeting also. Kelsey just asked me to make sure that everybody knew that those are still up here as they are in our regular meeting. So if you will stand with me for our prayer and our pledge. Robbie will lead us in our prayer, and I will lead us in our pledge.
The Lord, we thank you for this day. We pray, Lord God, that you have filled us with this meeting. We pray, Lord God, that you use our service for you. We pray, Lord God, for all the sick and community, Lord, that you be with them. Hold be with us to each and every thing that we try to do for the city. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Each time we do the pledge, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, as I said, we actually have a copy of the meeting policy and the agenda. And we want to talk about several different things, and so there's going to be some interaction with the council. And she's actually going to have a timer, so you'll actually hear her phone beep. Our timer is dead. I think it bit the dust. So she's going to have to notify us when we went over our time limits. Georgia City's week is fast approaching. We did our resolution. Oh, we have another council member coming. Just in time, Harold. You didn't miss a lot yet. Okay, Georgia City's week. We passed our resolution last month, or this month. Actually, we're not out of March yet, but that is coming up for the month of April. And I just wanted to go over a couple of things that we've started with, and then I think if the council has other things to add or they want to change some of those. The Mayor's Essay Contest, we've done that every year. We usually do it with 6th graders, and those are sent to GMA, and they pick a winner from that. This year, or last year, they actually told us that we would do the Mayor Essay Contest however the city saw fit. So I'm asking K through 12th grade, they're able to submit their essays. If I were mayor and they come up with some really cute ideals, they want a Six Flags in Blue Ridge. So they're looking for this council to approve that. They want petting zoos, all kinds of things. So it's really interesting to read those. Anybody that wants to volunteer to help me read all those essays, I would really appreciate that. But there'll be an award for every year, or every grade. So we'll do that. I also plan to do some school visits, as I normally do, and we talk about pets and littering and those types of things. Cleanup days. Advanced Disposal has decided to donate dumpsters again to us this year, and I'm needing some placements for those, and those are for people that want to do clean up at their house if they're just wanting to do a spring cleaning and they just don't want to go to the expense to haul it off. There'll be a couple of dumpsters out there, clean up their yards. A suggestion was the farmer's market. Do you have a problem with the farmer's market being one of the drop-off areas? Okay, I need another suggestion. Because we need to advertise this through
Well,
Facebook.
is this going to be for like people in downtown to help collect trash, pick up litter, all that sort of stuff?
Well, now to pick up trash, we can put those in our dumpsters at the city
Right. So we could have
shop.
one here for the residents back like College Street in that area.
Yeah, and it's just going to be that week, that April the 22nd through the 27th. Is that correct, Kelsey? Are those the right dates? Through the 28th. So it will be that week that we will have those dumpsters. So we want to advertise it through our Facebook, our newspapers, Fetcher News, radio, those kind of things.
It'd be nice if we could have one down Ada Street somewhere too.
Well, I was thinking we could put one in the behind the co-op, we have the little area that has gravel on it. And it's not, people really don't park there except on busy weekends, so we could put it there possibly. With that.
Co-op and farmer's market.
What about here at City Hall, possibly just right out here on the side?
How many do we get?
They usually donate 2. They would probably do a third one if we ask.
It might be a good idea to get one, further down towards Ingalls somewhere too, in that food line, just on that side of the county too, or city, instead of focusing just
It
up
would
here.
be kind of nice to have it in our residential areas somewhere like the Kiwanis Fairgrounds if they would allow us to do it, or maybe even our city pool, Kim. Is that a thought?
We probably could. We could make a spot for one. I mean, we're pretty packed with all the ball games, but we might be able to find a spot for one.
I wouldn't do it over there.
You wouldn't do it there? How about
Too many ball games going on right now.
How about the fairgrounds?
Yeah, we could contact Kiwanis. So I actually think that if Kiwanis will allow us. Okay, yeah, we'll check on that. And then we'll actually be advertising this, like I said, through our Facebook and all of our other avenues and on our website. So,
Do you guys have any ideas? This is a town hall meeting.
Is this going to be for large refuse or just small cleanup?
small household items, cleaning up trash out of your yards, those kind of things. And we're doing a big push to clean up the areas. You know, we have the detainees who are actually making a real conscious effort to get into the residential areas and help clean out all the ditches, get all the branches and those type things out of the ditches so it doesn't stop up our culverts. Because we get a lot of rains in April. That being said, another thing that I've always wanted to see us do is if people will put their small yard clippings and their debris at the end of their driveways or next to the sidewalk, not on the sidewalk, not in the road, I would like to see the city start doing a small brush pickup on Mondays, at least through the month of April. Does anybody have any objections or anything to add to that? Just on Monday.
Where will they dump it?
Could it be once a month, not every Monday?
We're just doing it April for now.
Well, I think he's asking as an ongoing thing if we did it more often.
Yeah.
First of all, where do they dump it? Who picks it up? Where do they dump it?
Well, we were talking about a place to be able to burn it because what has happened in the past with our leaves, we've had people that have gardens that would take the leaves and burn them at those areas and then they just till it in their garden. Right now, people probably really want to. Okay, so do y'all want to continue? Make a motion to continue?
I'll make a motion we continue.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor? So we'll have to have an area to burn it in. And we talked about taking it to the farmer's market and actually getting a chipper and even chipping up what we can. But it'll help us keep our ditches cleaner and keep those things from getting stopped up.
Do we have a shipper?
We usually rent one a couple of times a year because we have so much debris that we pick up ourselves.
Say we do it every other week. That's too much work on every week on Monday. They already have a big bunch of scheduled work they got to do anyway.
On the street department?
Yep.
I think it's a one-man job, though. I think it's just a one-man with a truck going around. And the person would have to call into City Hall and tell us the address at where they left their clippings.
Yeah.
I don't think it's every household would have. A lot of people do their own.
My opinion's every other week. Or like say the 15th or the 30th.
For just April?
For just April.
Yeah, I think it'll help us clean up the areas, too.
Yeah.
In the fall, we may want to consider doing maybe every week because, or I don't know, the leaves are a major problem getting into our drains, which cause blockage, and so that is a major problem. And a lot of people just blow their leaves, and they go straight into the sidewalk, which goes straight into our gutters. So that's a thought in the fall, possibly. Maybe just
Have a month in the
have a
fall,
month, yeah.
A month in the spring.
In fact, we did that when I first came on council, and for some reason or another we quit. I think our machinery tore up. We had to dial back. So yeah, we got a new one. So.
Okay, and then we've contacted Georgia Mountain Health, and they were interested in doing some things in the park, maybe during one of those days for our Georgia Cities Week, and they could do it the weekend before or the weekend after. had another person say the Humane Society is actually doing their big event, but they would like to help us with, which they are helping us with neutering and spaying, but they also give out certificates, I think, so that you can do it for a reduced rate. And they mentioned chipping also your pets. They could do that for like $10 or something, I believe. So are you interested in them having like a little mini fair of any type? And
What was Georgia Mount Collins wanting to do?
they want to know what you want them to do. Do you want them to give out information? Do you want them to do blood pressure checks, things like that?
Like a mini health fair, essentially?
I think that they would be interested in doing some different things. So we'd have to coordinate it with whatever else is in the park. It depends on the weekend. So those are things to think about. Those don't have to have definite answers. Some people in the audience, I had somebody mention Red Cross today. Maybe they would want to do a blood drive during that week. Haven't contacted them. Didn't think of it till today. So if anybody else got any suggestions or anything that make it easy.
We're going to do the drive-by flu clinic out at the farmer's market again this year. Maybe we can have them combine something.
Okay, so the flu season's almost over. I think this is the last month for flu, but I mean, it's something good to do, but the season is pretty much over for
Yeah.
flu.
And I don't know that the health department does anything that's other than vaccinations that would be kind of something in the spring. But I can check on that too. I actually serve on that board, so I'll see if there's anything they would like to do. So I guess nobody has any opposition to that. There's no problems with it if they want to set up a tent and offers free services, and we can advertise on our
And
website.
this will be advertised to all the city residents as a service to the residents to be able to bring the kids and
We actually talked about, even once we put this together, putting it on their water bill. I don't know that it will allow you to put that much information on there. So I think we'll just have to use like the radio stations and the newspapers and all of the social media that's out there. So everybody would have to help share it and get the information out. So the other thing is FFA. Rhonda Matthews has said they would like to help with a beautification project, and one that they like to do is some plantings, some pots that will go on the sidewalk. Since we have so much concrete, it might would break up some of that, and Caesar is shaking his head yes. My only concern and my only fear is, guess who waters them most of the time late at night with jugs of water when I can't get a water hose to an area. So I would like to place those, if we do them, near store owners that would help us keep them watered and help us keep them in good shape. Do you think you could help me with that project?
Yeah.
Okay. We're just volunteering you for that. So if you can find us...
You tell me where you're going to put them, and I'll get the storage.
Yeah, or the store owners can tell us that are willing to do that. You know, some of them probably like plants, some of them may not. So,
Personally, I think you need them all the way down the street. So.
and if we could get a count, the school is very interested in helping us. Of course, we have to buy the product, and then they will actually put it together for us. And they've done this for us for several years, and they're really good. The kids like to get involved and help.
hey, it's a great idea.
So, okay. Any others? I'm
Would
running out.
this be just down,
It can be wherever you want it. How many do you want, and where do you want them to go? I'm saying probably a dozen.
that doesn't seem like,
Caesar, what do you
doesn't seem
think?
like a lot.
What's your volume?
Well, when I look at West Main Street, basically had that put in when they did streets. They didn't put it in at East Main Street. East Main Street, the only thing they did was sidewalks.
Yeah, West Main has trees, and they have the little areas that you can plant in.
East Main has none. So really, I think East Main needs the most. Outside of that,
What's the most number-wise you think?
I'm being told 30.
30.
30. Oh.
I'm not sure what we're talking about here.
You asked.
Yeah, when you said planters, like we're talking about big
Top.
Did you make a copy of that picture? You don't think it came through? They're just really large
I would have to walk
pots.
the street and kind of look at it and say, because you have something going on the other side of the street by the train station. You already have that, but it's on the other side that it's pretty devoid of anything going on. Yeah, I could walk the street and give you an idea of where I think it should go.
Yeah, if I can get a number, and they have quite a few kids, and they're there all day at school, so I'm sure they love the project.
Are you talking about like a pot? Or-
I think it's a very large container, and I've got a picture I can show you. I tried to send it to Kelsey earlier, and I think it might not have went through. Okay, any other ideals or suggestions or things that residents feel like we're not doing, or businesses that we might could do during that week to kind of give a push for spring and beautification? And
For beautification?
oh, you want to talk about those banners
Yeah, I could.
or flag? Yeah.
Yes. So basically,
You want to come up to the microphone so it makes it easier for Kelsey to do the minutes when you do that.
the time to go. Is this one working?
Yes. You have to get really close to the microphone for it to work.
Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. So if you look down today, down East Main Street, on the boardwalk portion, the city already has some standards coming out where you put some, like Happy Spring and that kind of thing going down there. What we're talking about is doing it all the way down the street, both East and West Main, having those as a standard where we could make different flags that will represent different events going on in downtown Blue Ridge. To help pay for that, I know the chamber, the Chamber of Commerce has offered to basically, if the city pays part of it and the business association pays for part of it, the chamber will pay for part of it to actually make these flags. To talk about, could be the 4th of July parade, it could be
Fire and
Ice, it could be for anything, Blues and Barbecue, anything that's going on in downtown, they could be these little flags going all the way down the street, coming off the poles. But you need to have the actual standards put in, and then we make up the signs.
You said flags or signs?
Well, they're flag. They're like banners that drop down.
Yeah, they're the ones
If
that
you
we
go
put
down
at the
there now-
deck, you know, that have different things, welcome to Blue Ridge or whatever. We put some on those light poles there. And I think we change them out for spring, and maybe we have a flag one we put out at July 4th.
Something, yeah.
Yeah.
But they're right there on the boardwalk only. They don't go
They're all
the
throughout town. He's wanting to get them all through town.
right. And they could be changed out, and you could still have the ones that say "Welcome to Blue Ridge," but maybe every other one.
In between the events or whatever.
Right. But that just helps get the message out. It helps the whole messaging around what's going on in Blue Ridge.
So is that something that the Business Association might want to get numbers for, and then kind of look at the events that you, or the seasons, or however you want to do it, and then just come back to the council and ask for funding for that? Or do you want the council to make those decisions?
I can make the decision for you.
I have no problem with that. I'm not sure about the council.
I have numbers.
Oh, we have. Okay, so Pam has. Do you have them with you now, or?
I'm planning on it.
Okay. Well, we can come
I'm
back.
gonna make it up. It's approximately $35 a sign.
That's for the sign, but it's not for the standard.
Not for the hard.
Right.
Right. So what I'd be looking at is finding out how much. I don't know, Tony, do you know?
I'm fine with it.
If you guys can cover the cost of the standards, we can see if we can find a way to between Chamber, Business Association, and the city pay for the flags.
I think those are about $25, aren't they, Tony? I think we had to replace a couple of them. And I think they were about 20.
People we order them from, there's different prices because there's wooden ones, there's aluminum ones, there's steel ones, there's galvanized ones.
I think they were around $25.
You can get.
And I think ours are metal that we have now. So
I'll make that much.
Well, sure.
I can find a price.
Okay. So do you want to give us something emailed to us?
I'll put together a proposal for you.
And, you know, we talked about even maybe trout capital and those kind of things. So you'll go ahead and send us images maybe of the ones like the flag that you recommend, or the spring, or fire and ice. Do you want to do it that detailed?
I can get you an approximate, I'm not going to pay for all the artwork, but I can give you
Yeah.
what the old poster.
How many you would, because you couldn't change it every month, I don't think, and we have a festival every month, but I guess if the business association's putting money in, you want to do some of the ones y'all help support.
Yeah, we do, yeah, but I would go after the Trout Fest for money for the event, something that says Trout Fest. I'd go after Blues and Barbecue for money for theirs,
Okay,
those type of things.
okay, so,
We probably need to factor in the design work too, somebody's gonna have
Yes.
to design it all.
Yeah.
Well, we're looking at, the city's looking at is just the hardware.
well, if you did say the Trout Festival, you would use the logos that they already have, I would think. I would think you'd want to keep it uniform.
Just take pieces off of everybody's poster and give you an approximate, not the.
Yeah, the city's only going to pay for the hardware piece. Well, wait a minute. We would pay for the hardware piece, but I think they're asking us to help chip in with the Business Association, the Chamber, and the City of Blue Ridge, all three paying for the flags.
And it also could be the different organizations who would be doing it too. So it would be, I'm speaking for the Business Association and the Chamber, because I know the Chamber's offered money already to do that for this year. So we want to take advantage of that. But I think if you talk to the Trout Fest, that they'd be willing to do that. If you talk to the Blues and Barbecue people, they'd be willing to do that.
And I'll double check this with Jan, but we already give the Chamber a portion of our hotel motel tax, and I think she was talking about taking the funding from that for the flags, the portion that we give her now. I think she was thinking about taking that out. So it wouldn't be coming out of your other monies, it's money that's already going to the Chamber. Is how I understood it from Jan.
Yeah, so the money, basically the way
So you're not keeping the money right now anyway?
No, well, the way she's going to set it up is basically on if we spend $1,000, she'll give us $1,000, and it's up to a certain level.
Okay.
So she's got a certain amount of money that she set aside for that, and it's on a one-for-one dollar. So if we match so it's for any of the organizations downtown. So whoever puts in for that money gets it on a one-for-one basis up to a certain amount. And then if we go over that, then it becomes something that maybe we can ask the city to help chip in for that.
Okay.
And of course, we'll be part of that one-for-one match.
Okay. Yeah, send us something. I think we have an interest. Am I right? We have an interest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank
Okay.
you. Okay. Anything else with Georgia City League? If you leave here tonight and you think of something that you would like to see the city do, please email us, let us know, even somebody in the audience, and if it's something we can do or add easily, we may try to do that. So, Cdbg is a community development block grant. We're currently, we've already signed our contracts, we've done our construction meetings and everything for a Cdbg that we've just recently gotten, which is $500,000, and that project has been delayed and should start April the 5th. But I wanted to talk about two different things. One is where our next Cdbg project's going to be, and I'm thinking Ada Street looks like a really good area to do that. There's a lot of storm drainage issues. There's a 2-inch water line, right, Ken? Is it 2-inch on Ada Street, and it goes all the way to our industrial park. So as they have things built out and need our school, our agricultural centers on that street. So I think we need to look at upgrading that line. We're looking at working on some storm drains. We met, do you want to talk about that just a little bit? We met with our engineer.
The Kissels came to the last meeting and asked the council to take it for serious. Their flooding issues that they had towards their home on Ada Street, multiple other homeowners. I met with our engineer Matt with Carter and Sloop to address this situation as soon as possible. We met last Wednesday over there. We walked Ada Street to basically look at the surface area and what are some of the issues that we're having. And we did come up with, there are some serious issues we're having in flooding areas, and we've put together a pretty good game plan. They're going to bring out some surveyors to basically look at the development and see, making for sizing and right-of-way passages and easements from homeowners that they'll grant us to allow us to do this. We take this stuff seriously. We pulled the trigger, just going ahead and seeing what we can do to help, and I was asked the council when looking at this CDBG grant, we take in consideration the damage that are happening to people's homes due to flooding, due to the issues with stormwater. What we have an issue with right now is we can get it to the train tracks, and G-Rail by standard codes doesn't have enough size capacity underneath their train tracks to catch the volume that is coming off that system. So, I mean, obviously, that's an issue we have. We want to update our lines. We know Kissel's had a private, on their property, a homeowner in the past have put something up to kind of help funnel away. And right now it's doing stuff to their home, and we just want to make sure the city can come out there and try to relieve a lot of this issue. So if we look at this CDBG grant, I ask that 8th Street storm drains be taken seriously, and hopefully we can put some money towards that. We can get it to the train tracks, but I can't say anything for G-Rail about what they need to do to get it past their train tracks to the other side.
Yeah, and it's not only the Kissel's house that's having flooding issues, it's all the houses pretty much along the train tracks there, and some are worse than others, but...
Yeah, I've talked with Matt, and we've come up with a couple game plans on this with 8th Street, because 8th Street's kind of up and down. You'll see cars almost jump over the hills there. They go through there so fast. But the rain coming off of that side comes from everywhere. It's just a pitched incline that's just flowing constantly. So I addressed Matt and said, what I like to see is storm culverts and different locations out 8th Street, and then what we call bumper rails before people's driveways and stuff, as we create just a little bit of asphalt hump going, protecting kind of the property line that they have, to kind of guide that water flow that's coming down here so it don't jump across into their property. That'll actually kind of hit this little pump and direct it towards the storm culvert. Just some small thought processes that we're just trying to take seriously and try to help correct it to save people's homes.
And with a community development block grant, there's a process that you have to go through. There's engineering, bidding, and all those things. And some of those things Ken was just talking about are small fixes that can help right now. They're not going to resolve the problem. So it's a pretty large problem. $500,000 won't go very far if we got the full grant on that side of the street. It's going to only be a good start. It could be more involved. But like I said, that takes a little time. And I'm going to ask, because I'm not finished with that, but I can do it real quickly. Can you make a motion to extend the time?
We just make a motion to disregard the rules for the children.
Perfect.
Yes. So I make a motion we disregard the rules and procedures for today's meeting.
Okay, do I have a second?
I second that.
All in favor? With that being said, on the CDBG grant, we can become a water first community, and if we do that, it's about a 6 to 9 month process. If we become water first, we can apply for a CDBG grant every year. In the past, pretty much any of those grants, you have to get one started or almost finished before you can apply for the second one. In CDBG, it's always been every other year that you can apply for a grant. There are qualifications to even be able to get the grant. You go into a big pool with a lot of other cities that are looking for the same pots of money, but so far the ones that we've applied for, we've been successful and been able to get those. So I'm going to ask that y'all think about us making an effort to be a water first community, and don't ask me what it involves because I don't know all the details, and Matt is sending me all the information, so I'm sure it's surveys and things like that, probably some mapping, things that I think we've already started to work on, as I said, the water loss control and things like that too. But as soon as I get that, I'll send it to you. But I would like for you to think about us moving in that direction so that we can go after those pots of money that are out there and available to small cities like us. So I just wanted to give you a heads up on that. On the side note?
On a side note, Mr. Holcomb, I was out there with Matt on your property. We looked at the scenario, the sinkhole that you also have at your property also, come together with a pretty good game plan. He will also have the surveyors look at the area to see how we can get this thing taken care of in a timely manner for you.
Okay, and farmer's market. I met with, Rhonda and I actually met with Rodney Patterson, lost his name there for a moment, and they do the spring festival and they also do the fall festival there. They're not doing a spring festival this year, they're just going to do the one in October. I've always known it as the harvest sale. He has not committed to the farmer's market at this point because there are some issues that need to be addressed, the roof, the railing, some paving, and some drainage issues. So my question is, do we want to start getting prices on those kind of things? And if I move, y'all don't hear me, do you? Can you hear me back there? Kind of clue me in if you can't hear me. So do we have a plan in place? Do we have any thoughts? Because I don't have a lot of them.
I thought we were looking for feedback on what we could do with
Jim, is that what you're saying?
If anyone has a great idea for the farmer's market, right here is the mic where we want to hear any options, all options. Don't look to us for all the answers. We look to you for a lot of the answers, and we respect y'all's opinions, so please feel free to come up here and speak.
And I will say, just from the things we looked at with Rodney, it looks like it would, approximately $40,000-$50,000, don't you think, to correct some of these issues? I mean, especially the railing, the roof, the paving.
The paving's going to be more than that.
If we pave it, yeah, which it probably needs to be paved in a certain area around the back. But we also can take that money out of our hotel, motel, out of tourism, because it is a tourist facility. So, that, as far as our budget, we could do that. We have a certain percentage that's allotted to that. So that's just a thought. But, you're looking probably, like she said, what, 50, 60 maybe?
I would say and they're not talking about paving the entire parking lot. I think they're probably talking about just those little areas around there so that it would be ADA compliant, and it's probably $25,000-$30,000 just in paving, but it's probably another $40,000-$50,000 just to do those.
But I think you could fix.
I think we need to come up with some ideas of what we're
I
going
think
to do.
the things that he's asked to be done are probably that's the number that I'm thinking it would take.
Yeah,
what he wanted.
There are things like a roof leak that needs to be fixed, obviously. Things like that you have to fix. Railing, just to make sure that someone doesn't fall off, because it's very dangerous right now.
It's dangerous, but I'm going to say, as a kid, it didn't have any railings when I was out there. I don't think so. I don't know if somebody's as old as me in here that can say that. Brenda's shaking her head. There was no railings. There wasn't. Okay. Joe, you want to come up and talk?
I'm Joe Webb. I actually live in the county, but I have an interest in the city, in that I basically work with the theater, which is right across from the farmer's market. Over time, there have been a number of things that the community has needed. One of the largest on my list is a central location for a standalone library, and that would be a most excellent location for a county library, which the city also participates in, which is called the Fannin County Public Library. As far as looking at it as a low-density commercial use, I don't think that's the best interest of that area of town. I don't think it's in the best interest of the city. We have a very, very strong, vibrant downtown, and we need other commercial hubs within the city. So we have a very nice one over by the Village Restaurant. We have one forming around Save-A-Lot and the areas around the theater. And quite frankly, a low-density commercial use would not suit that long-term development, nor add additional parking for the community. If we're simply looking at selling the property and not doing something public with it, then I would say let's sell it to the highest bidder and see if we can get a hotel and some retail density in that area, which will provide some economic vitality in that area and also provide parking and further commercial circulation. That said, the whole area is in need of lighting upgrade. So we actually need to come up on East First Street and deal with the street lighting as well as what's on the farmer's market. It's a very dimly lit area. We have very old utility lights, and quite frankly, it's a dangerous area. It's in a long curve. The farmer's market is under grade. There are visibility issues right now with high use of the farmer's market. So quite frankly, I think it's an opportunity. There's a lot of sentimental value about it, but economically it's literally a relic of the past somewhat. As far as making it a venue for music and things of that nature, I suggest that it's not appropriate for the city to be getting into that kind of business. And it, quite frankly, is a very tough business. If you look at event centers and things of that nature around the county, all of us struggle with attendance and events. So to literally see the city managing an event center there, I don't think is an appropriate opportunity. So thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
Do we know what the income is from that property at its current time, annual income?
The farmer's market, it has zero income right now, just expenses.
So why do we still have it?
Because it's a sentimental attachment, I guess. I'm not sure. We're trying to come up with a vibrant plan, so
Yeah,
I don't have the answer, but I'm hoping somebody up here does.
It's not been utilized to its best potential. It's just been sitting in there vacant, but it is a unique property that the city owns. You know, we own several unique properties. We own the drive-in right beside it. We own that property. We own the Ball House, and you know, different properties like that that we want to really utilize. That one has been, it really hasn't been. We've just pushed it to the side and not really done much with it. But it's time to do something with it. To make it, you know, I say make it.
I would love to see the farmer's market, what it originally was.
You know,
but I just don't know if the market is here for.
We don't have a lot of farmers in Fannin County anymore. Actually, Blairsville has a few farmers. Well, but you know, the farmers are looking for the big sale. They're trying to do the truckloads, and it's hard for them to do those here in small counties. But I remember it being a vibrant farmers market back in the day.
They really want to be downtown.
I'm sorry.
We're not in that day anymore.
No, I know. I mean, it's time to figure out the plan.
My opinion is we are in an era, especially in this community, where art is huge. And you have, well, we have the drive-in, we have the theater across the street. It could, in my opinion, become a really neat art district, and which we don't have. And it could turn into something. I talked to Jan Hackett with the Chamber, and she feels like it would be in a great event center because Willow Creek, they're really shutting down a lot of that. That's going to become more of a wine venue, a vineyard. And we don't have anywhere to have events. So we need something. And that could be made into probably one of the most unique event centers. And the city really, we don't have to manage it. We just lease it, just like UCB, like they lease their community room. And that's how that could be handled. It doesn't mean that we have to hire new people to work out there, etc. But I feel like you could have even art shows. You could do so many, you know, concerts. I've talked to Colby Bach. He does several concerts in the area, and he thinks it would be a unique place for that. So my opinion is art district.
Well, what kind of money would it take to even get it up to par would be the thing. Would you have to enclose it and have like big open garage doors to open the indoors out? I mean, that would be the concern. Is the carrying cost, what it's going to cost to do that? I love the idea. But realistically, what's it going to cost to even get it to that point and maintain it?
But Jan Hackett also said that she's been looking into grants for that. So, you know, we could possibly work with the chamber in getting a grant. So,
well,
we have about $750,000 in the theater right now without property acquisition, and we only seat 171 people. We have $150,000 worth of tech. We got $60,000 worth of cushioned seatings. It's not inexpensive to have a venue and to actually fill up that venue and run it as a business. There are business models like this.
Yeah, My other concern would be if it's an indoor-outdoor venue, then we have the noise ordinance being within the city and those sort of things that we have to take into consideration.
Which is 10:30.
I don't know how well people can hear you. Can you
y'all hear me?
Okay.
Yeah, but you'd have to still adhere to that noise ordinance of 10:30, so, and I think, 11, somewhere in that area.
Well, I'm just going to throw this out there, and I'm probably going to get everybody unhappy, but we do have somebody that would like to lease it. So until we come up with a plan, why do we not consider leasing it out? At least it stops our bleeding.
Well, I think if you lease it, you're prohibiting any progress with it because it's leased. It's like,
Well, if you apply for a grant, you're probably a year away.
but still you're,
I don't know, I think we're kicking the can down the road. I think we need to come up with ideas and even make a decision, do something with it. If not, we need to look at alternative options such as leasing it or selling it. And
yeah.
which is why we need y'all's help with ideas to see if there's anything viable.
Have you
Yeah,
ever been
something.
to Asheville into their art district? They do they rent out like areas with different artists.
Yeah, it's like a little market essentially. It's like a
Yeah.
hot city market, like an outdoor market that's just been there for crafts and artists and stuff like that. You know what? I love that idea. My only concern out there is the location because so many people like to be in downtown. They want to park, get out and walk. But I think if you made it, if it was good, people would go out there and spend hours at a time.
Yes.
My only concern would be parking and, again, getting it ready.
Well, you have
And
plenty
having
of
the
parking
revenue to
there.
get it ready.
And I look at that area like canoes out there right now. I mean, look what that building is. It's turned into such a remarkable building. And then, the theater's done extremely well out there. The drive-in, I mean, it's all artsy. It's all entertainment.
It can have good potential if it was done
Yeah.
right.
If it's done correctly.
Yeah, I'm just concerned the city has another project we need to
But-
get going, and we have so many on the list.
But the thing is with that, I don't feel like it will ever be a viable farmer's market. The people who are on the farmer's market in downtown, they've been to the city council numerous times, year after year. When I first came on council 9 years ago, one of my first meetings was with them. They wanted to come downtown. So every year they've come back wanting to stay downtown. They don't want to go out there. So I don't think it needs to be considered to be a farmer's market anymore.
If we had other vendors out there that made it more of a hub, would they want to go back there to be able
Possibly.
to have, it might make
Yeah.
it more appealing to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just not sure that we have the population to support anything there at this point. I know we on the weekends have a big influx of folks, but I just don't know. And like I said, I think it's a plan that's going to need money. It's going to need time if we're going to go for grants. And I just think that, I think we need a backup plan. If we don't have something that we can move forward with, I think we need to look at maybe more discussion with Mr. Sisson if he does want to lease it, what kind of terms or something like that. At least something would be happening there. And I think I may be speaking out of turn. You did say if you had 30 or 60 days, you would move if we needed it for something else. I don't think you would stop progress for the city. I think you're a big city supporter as far as with everything I know, you're always willing to help. So I think that's a possibility at this point.
I think in that case, you'd have to certainly open it up for other people to lease it as well. Because I heard someone asked me in town the other day that they heard we were discussing that. So I think you'd have to, and they were interested in leasing it as well. So I think you'd have to open it up.
I think
Open bid, yeah.
I think you can do that.
Yeah. If that's an option that the council wants to take, I personally would prefer to move forward with giving it some life.
Are you looking for it to benefit the local people or the tourists?
Everybody.
I think it would have to be both. I don't think you could do just one or the other.
The community, I feel like
A lot of working people here don't, gravitate toward the art district, but a library, they surely would gravitate toward that.
Well, I think if you get into the library situation, I think you're looking at, I think you'd probably have to sell it you'd have to sell it probably at that point. And if you sell it, you are going to have to open it up for other bids as well.
I think regardless of what you do, it's going to be a weekend. a weekend market regardless.
Yeah, I think so.
Unless it is like the library.
Yeah, yeah.
Anything else?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear from you guys what you think. Rachel, you're back there. What do you think?
I'm just listening.
Can I say what I think? Because you said you'd love to hear it.
Yes.
Mr. Sissons had a business in the city limits for 17 years. He's paid property tax to the county and the city for 17 years, operated his business through good times and bad times right here in the city. I would agree with looking for a long term, but if this dedicated citizen that has his business here for 17 years, has paid the property tax here and business taxes, whatever, would like to use it because the building industry right now is booming and he may need some overflow right now to help bring inventory in because of the housing market right now, make a long-term plan, but maybe in the short term, lease it to Mr. Sisson and say thank you for being a business in our city for 17 years. That's just my opinion. You said you wanted.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, and we want everybody.
I respect a long-term plan, but short-term, he may need it because of the economy right now, and he could pay the bill. You don't have to vet the person. You know who you're renting it to.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on.
Just to say, my only concern with like somebody leasing it and storing stuff there is you said it would be just a storage facility, and obviously you can see that coming through town, and that would be my only concern is I think coming into Blue Ridge on that main road coming in, it's abandoned now, but I just would be concerned about what's it going to look like. Not that you don't keep a nice shop, but if it has a bunch of lumber and stuff stacked up there, that would be my only concern.
People are going to see progress in the city.
That's
Yeah, I mean, it's a double-edged sword. I mean, I don't disagree, but that would be my only initial thoughts.
Okay, so there's our options. Come up with a long-term plan, come up with something that would make it viable, and then maybe even look at leasing it in the interim if possible. And, it could be Mr. Sisson, or it could be someone else in the audience, or somebody that's not even here. So I think those are things we just need to...
For the long-term plan, would you have a committee or group that kind of comes up and collates a group, of ideas to present back?
Yeah, and Jen Hackett has volunteered to be on that committee if we form one.
Are you volunteering to be on that committee as well?
Maybe.
Okay. Downtown restrooms. We have been talking about this since I came into office, I think, Rhonda. Our very first meeting 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Or 8.5 years ago. We've talked about restrooms. Things have changed over the years, size, where it would be located exactly, and some different things. So we have a meeting with DCA tomorrow to kind of get this kick started again and to figure out where all the money's going to come from. This is a project that I think everybody up here feels like doesn't need to be undersized. We don't want to have to do it again in 4 or 5 years. We want to make sure we do it correctly the first time. We want to make sure that it fits the area that it's going in, and we want to make sure we have enough money to pay for it. So we're looking at what other pots of money are out there. It's a very basic design. I think we've actually shown it at a couple of meetings, but some of that's going to be changed or tweaked. We cannot do that until we have our meeting with DCA tomorrow. So I guess I'm just wanting to hear, does anybody have any concerns about the restroom area? We're looking at doing it next to the sidewalk, so you would have a lower level and an upper level, and we're even talking about doing the 3rd story there. It is sitting where the existing restrooms are, and I know that somebody's going to say, what are you going to do when you tear those down? We have not got that far in our plans if we're going to put in a small facility.
We've done the portable ones.
The portable ones
maybe
are
on a couple of ends of town just to alleviate traffic.
not just porta potties, something that would be more like a station.
Yes, station,
yeah. So we haven't worked all of that out, where they would go and how because you've also got to be able to hook up to sewer, and you've got to be on city property. So we're in the process of doing that.
We were thinking about buying one So when we get done with the restrooms, we would have it for festivals and events. It could be either down by the park or it could be down by the city parking at the other end, so people wouldn't have to walk all the way down. But by the time we rent one, we could probably buy one. So.
True, because it's probably a 10-month process with bidding and everything. So.
Well, when I worked in Atlanta, our plumbing company bought a portable storage facility because they bought the state fair. They actually had basically, it was like a ramp system that came up and had multiple bathrooms in it, had hand wash stations and everything. And it was on a, kind of like a flatbed or whatever. All easy, ADA compliant, everything was there.
Very nice.
We used one at Christmas time here.
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, to see the cost of that compared to being cheesy with Porta John and stuff.
They're about $50,000. The one that we rent, that we put by the depot, I think it had 3 women's restrooms and 3 men's, and I think they're a little over $50,000. No, the rental was $2,500 a month.
So sometimes we can pay for one, but
And it has to pay next to
And it has to, that's why I said there's some logistics to figure out. We've got to figure out where we can get water and where we can get sewer, and it needs to be on city property. So there's a little bit of work to do to figure out where it can and can't go. Because if we have a construction site there, we're going to be kind of tight with equipment. So that's going to be something that.
Well, my opinion on this too is we were approved last year for a grant, for a 2-story grant. I say move forward with that for 2-story. I mean, that's an adequate, it's nice. It's very nice. That gives you plenty of restrooms. And if we keep trying, if we get greedy with it, we keep going for bigger money, more money, more money, we may end up losing altogether. Why not go for what we've got now? We've got the grant in place.
Well,
why
that's
not
why
move
we're having a
forward?
meeting in the morning.
I mean, if we get a supplemental grant to come in and
Which
help
we-
or something, I'd be open
Yeah.
to that, but I don't disagree. I think what money we got.
If it's going to take another year to get it though, no.
The problem,
Move
I think
forward.
the problem, even with what we've got though, based upon the numbers that Rick LaRosa provided, for what it's going to cost even for the 2-story building, we're a long ways off
Well,
being
if-
able to fund this thing.
If you remember,
No, we
talked-
actually have the funding.
We have 300,000 ARC, Appalachian Regional Commission.
Over double that.
And we were going to have to put, according to our numbers last year, it was going to be, we were going to put 150, like we would put 150 of our own money in. Is
Yeah,
that
we were
correct?
cutting down some of that,
So-
so that we, but I think what I,
There's no way we can build it for that, he said.
That's not what we were told last year. Now, this is for the facility that was approved last
Yeah,
year.
for the 2-story
Yeah,
facility.
that he told us, we were told, well, someone told us last year 450, and we put in, they would give us 300, we put in 150.
there's
So,
some match, and part of our in-kind was part of the property. So there's a couple of
and
things. there.
surely, to God, we can build restrooms for $450,000.
Based
Don't you think?
based on the existing plans
Yeah.
that we have now, the numbers that came in based on square foot was what, 750, he said?
But we had cut that design down some.
Well-
We changed it a little bit, but
But
not.
based on the way they were drawn.
Well, maybe we
If
should-
it was that's what I'm saying, we're a long ways off on finance. We've got to do something with
Well,
this.
the thing that I had mentioned, and we've talked about this before, if we keep rental property in there, which is just a small portion of it, when you look at the plans, there was just a small little rental piece on the top that could be a welcome center. Or you could,
Was this for the 3rd story?
no, this is the
No,
second.
that's
Second story,
as is
yeah.
planned.
Okay.
So if you keep something in there that can be a rental, you can go after the revolving loan fund grant or some other, so you can couple the ARC grant with something else to help get the number where you need it to be. We have that meeting tomorrow. We'll know more after that. And I think Caesar has said he's going to be there in the morning with us also
Tomorrow morning?
at 10 o'clock, wasn't it?
Yeah, I can do it.
I think that. So, can have 2 council members there. I think Nathan plans to be there, so if somebody else wants to join us from the council.
Yeah, I may, because I'm totally confused with the numbers given to me last year. I'm totally lost how this is all changed.
And it might be good that you're an
Yeah.
I'm
existing.
about the timing, because I
am
thought
too.
several times this had been approved and there was
No,
start
it's
dates.
never been approved.
The grant
The ARC was approved.
Just the grant was perfect.
And let me back up. We were on their priority list for the state. The governor awarded us the $300,000 on his end from the state, but then there's another application that had to go in to the federal level. and the council did not approve to do the second piece of the application. So that still has to be done and submitted, so tomorrow will actually be kind of the part where we move forward with the second piece, but then it has to come to council approval on April the 11th. Is that our next council meeting? I think whatever our second Tuesday in April is, they will have to finalize it at that point.
It may be good to use an existing council member to be there because you know what you guys discussed as the numbers and stuff. And I don't know if it's just construction numbers is went up or what, but I said on last meeting, we got a major issue because we were way off.
Yeah, that's just not what we were told, so, yeah, that's ridiculous.
What's the timing? I mean, if if you broke ground tomorrow, how long does it take?
Well, if we're going to go for another grant to help couple that, which that's a revolving loan fund grant, and I don't know the dates on those, but, if we had a DDA, you could go for revenue bonds, things like that. But, just depending on what we couple it with as to how long we'll need to.
Construction process?
Construction's 10 months.
10 months, I said.
If we don't go for the other grant,
From demolition to finishing.
what is your construction time?
So that already puts
10
us-
months.
10 months, demolition
Yeah.
to completion, he said.
Plus, you got the bid, that covers bidding time too.
Yeah.
Your 30 days for bidding.
That's the danger. I mean, I've been hearing this conversation for 8 years,
Yeah.
and it's the same conversation. Somewhere along
It's a different
the line-
council. It's a different council.
Either way, it's talk. Somewhere along the line here, you got to get it done. And you have to have the will to get it done, and it has to get done.
And I think we're committed. I think we're committed to it. We got to be able to fund it. I think at this point is the how.
Bathrooms. How are we going to spend and bring in $700,000 for a freaking toilet?
I don't understand that.
Get some construction guys up here. We got no hometown people.
I might get my husband free of charge.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a welcome space that can take. I mean, that's the thing is, if there's things that can be taken out, I think after tomorrow, seeing what options for funding will be helpful. But
But
yeah, I mean, it's
can't
pretty
with
big.
shifting priorities and continual change. Come up with the design,
Yeah.
stick to it, and get the funding.
I don't think the interior design is being changed. The only thing that we,
about 2 floors, 3 floors.
well, you still have the same footprint though. No matter whether you go 1 floor or 3, you're still going to have that same, I think it's a 50 by 42 or something like that. So it's a matter of, the only thing that we asked for a change is to add family restrooms. And that was an easy change. There
Yeah,
was
it's just moving
space.
stalls around, that sort of stuff. Interior
Yeah,
design
it was
is
not,
not
it
a big
wasn't
deal.
changing the whole thing.
You've got to be pretty much 2 floors though, because you've got you got Robert
the
Way,
depot area.
yeah. So it's got to be at least a 2 stories. So
And enough stalls to make it work, because if you put too small of a bathroom, we're not really getting anywhere. If we go back with the same footprint, we're not resolving the problem with the upper street.
Did you get a preliminary bid before? How did you know how much it was going to cost?
The architect gave rough estimates.
So he's the one that gave you all the numbers before as well?
And that was...
But now, those estimates came in with the amount for the property. They have to estimate what the value of the property is. That was a couple of $100,000 in that number.
In the original number or the one he gave you last time?
No, he just gave us
It's all the
construction
original. It's the
costs.
same thing you've been seeing all the way through. It's the same thing that we've had at the meetings.
Does the city
There's
not...
no, I'm sorry?
Yes, currently they do.
Okay, so the property cost is not an issue.
No, but it's part of it when you're looking at your grant.
She's talking about for the grant, just
Yeah.
for the grant.
It has to
See
show-
how you're on
it has to show how-
Yeah,
It doesn't go to the price.
correct.
Yeah, so there's some things in there that we actually took out with the last council when we were trying to move forward also.
Do you have a target date of when the plans will be finalized?
February 20th. Well, I think we're waiting on the meeting tomorrow to see what grant options there is before they do a lot of work.
Yeah, and that meeting should actually help us move forward.
We've been waiting on this meeting for weeks, so hopefully tomorrow we'll get some answers.
3 weeks. 3 weeks.
Well, we would try to
Put on that third floor parking deck?
Okay, anything else on the restrooms?
What time is the meeting tomorrow, 10?
10 o'clock,
Okay.
yeah.
Here, okay.
And so one more council person can attend, and Caesar's
I'll be
going to
there.
attend for the business association. So that should...
Unless you'd like to go, Harold.
Harold Ron is offering for you to go. Would you rather go? Would you rather come to the meeting tomorrow?
You're more conservative than I am. Okay, I'll be there.
City pool. Tony, I'm going to ask you to come to the microphone too, and I'm going to go over. I'm just going to go over this real quickly, and if anybody's got any questions for him, but I want to talk about where we're headed with our pool is the main reason this is on here. We all know that our pool is how many years old? 40 plus? 40 plus years, so it's about time that we do some major renovation, if not just a whole new pool. So we'll talk, that's mainly the reason it's out here, but right now we have some issues, leak in the main drain, internal filters need to be replaced, manifold gaskets, valves, and we don't know about the skimmer leaks, the skimmer system if it's got a leak. So roughly we're talking about maybe $10,000 in everything but the skimmer.
Rough estimate just in parts to fix this stuff is anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000. It could cost more, it could cost less. That's just a broad umbrella.
Okay, the skimmer leaks, if it has leaks, if we have issues there, that can be, when I asked Ken, he said many tens of thousands, right? Is that what you told me?
You have to cut the concrete out.
If you have to cut concrete, that's a whole different story. That's a whole other ballgame.
Yeah, so many tens of thousands. I love the way he said that to me earlier on the phone today because I just asked him a rough number.
Many taxpayers.
Right now, we got a suction leak on the main drain. The filters, the laterals and the filters are busted. That's why the sand's getting in the pool. The light has to all be replaced in every filter. Sand has to be replaced in the filter. The butterfly valves or the valves from 1970 are corroded up, not shutting all the way. So all the 8-inch, 6-inch butterfly valves have to be replaced. We've done got it apart, so you're not going to put the old stuff back together. Each manifold on each filter system, gaskets need to be replaced on them, bolts. Some plumbing. The pressure test I have not yet got to do. We'll try to do that. What's the day? Tuesday? Maybe Thursday? Try to get the pressure test done. If you want to come out, if you got time. And then that'll tell us if we have to go further. If the pressure test goes bad and on skimmers, then we know we have to go on the skimmers. Then you're going to have to do 3 to 4 foot pathway all the way around the pool, getting all the skimmer lines. Then you have to do a leak test on the skimmers as far as taking food down when the pool fills up to see if anything's coming by the skimmers. So there's lots to do. It can go badly or it can go semi-good.
So I've actually asked Tony by our next meeting to have kind of a dollar amount so that you know whether it's worth trying to do these temporary repairs to get you through, because I understand, I kind of assume we're looking for the bigger fix by next year, by next school season.
Well, I thought the plan was we at least get it fixed and get it operational so citizens have that to use this summer while we're working through design, these potential grants, that sort of stuff, because it's a pretty in-depth.
Yeah, well, I think he's going to have you numbers by the next meeting as to how much it's going to cost to get that fixed.
Y'all have to vote on the pricing on the part.
Because it's going to be over here. Then I just wanted to share with you, the numbers were 1,429 folks used the pool last year. 1,429 people. Or there was 1,429 people that paid, so you're looking at just under $6,000 in revenue. So I think just the small fix with the valves and the manifolds and all of that before you get to the skimmers is pretty much going to be, if you have that same attendance, it's pretty much going to eat up whatever revenue you get. So just to be thinking about that.
Conservative, I think. I think it's going to probably cost them more than that.
Oh, that's if it's just the minor stuff. If it's the skimmers, then it's, like he said, tens of thousands. So yeah, so those are things just to be aware of and be thinking about. And as Tony gets, if he gets to pressure test that Thursday, he's going to know that we have bigger problems than the $5,000 to $10,000 worth of fix. So just a heads up. I guess my other question is, we've talked to a couple of people and we've looked at some splash pads, new pools, new, what do you call that room where everything's at? Having to expand that machine room, all that.
And relocating that kiddie pool, all the mechanics.
if we're going to do this for the next season, now's the time to start. If we're going to be looking for grants, and I've not found any grants that I can find. I've reached out to a couple of people that actually have done new pools, have done new splash pads. They've all funded it through their county or their city. So I guess my question is, do y'all want to put a committee together and try to come up with a process and a plan and how we're going to pay for it? Or, you know, if there's not grants, there might be some foundation money out there somewhere. I'm not real sure if there's some swimmer like Mike Phelps that has a foundation that he donates to cities. I don't know. Are we going to try to do some kind of campaign to raise money?
And plus, too, you got to realize that the people that you have to use to do city pools have to be commercialized and bonded. So they're always 5 to 6 months behind schedule.
If not more.
If not more.
Well, and that's when we come to the realization, Ken and I met with a couple of them out there, and when we were talking about even if we could find the funding and come up with the money, they all kind of laughed at us about thinking that we would get it done before summertime. They said, you need to plan for next fall. We're going to do the winter and have it available for the spring.
So I think it's just, you know, where's the money coming from and what are we thinking? Splash pad for sure?
What do you guys think
Yeah,
up
maybe
there?
let's hear from
Residents.
them, see what their
What do
thoughts
y'all
are, and
think?
then
Larry?
I think we sell the farmer's market, use the money from the farmer's market to pay for the pool, and we have a new pool next year.
Do you want to come up and say that so that can be recorded? Okay, so can everybody hear him? Anybody else have any thoughts too?
No, we're already talking about selling or doing something with the farmer's market. I think if we sell the farmer's market, use the proceeds from the farmer's market, we can build a new pool and have it ready by next year and stop wasting the city's money.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Joe? Come up, it's easier for them to hear, and it's a whole lot easier for Kelsey when she does the minutes. She gets on to me when I let people talk from the audience.
She knows my name.
As far as an outdoor pool goes, I'm not quite as concerned. If we're looking at an indoor pool, I'm very concerned. The county is also looking at an indoor pool, although there's not fair notice as to what the county is actually doing. They're accumulating $2 million of splash right now with an idea it may be an indoor swimming pool at the Bounty County Recreational Center. I'm going to be here to say that if we have a single indoor swimming pool in Banning County, it should be in the city of Blue Ridge. It shouldn't be out at the rec center. If we're going to do an indoor swimming pool, we certainly need to do it in conjunction with the county, because there's actually real money there in the splash that's already gotten earmarked for it. And recreation doesn't have to be in the recreation facility. It could be anywhere in the county. It's basically earmarked for a recreation building, undefined, but it literally is over $2 million in the current splash that's being accumulated.
I do agree with him on that, because I'd mentioned that in January. I think if we could work with the county and figure out what's best, because the city, we are, you know, we're part of the county and we all work together. To me, when I say Blue Ridge, I mean the county. I look out for the county, and if we could work with them, and even if we provide land, whatever, I mean, I just feel like that would be the best thing. And I would like to see some of the council approach the commissioners and say, hey, let's work together for the best, you know, for the betterment of our community.
I think it's a great idea. I don't know that the city has any property that's conducive, because if you have an indoor pool, and we looked up there that day, if you have an indoor pool up at the current city location, I mean, you've got to think about having at least double the parking, because you're going to have people that don't drive to Blairsville that's going to want to come use it for, you know, swim teams for recreation, and there is a ball field that is right behind it, and there is no parking available up at the city pool. I mean, it's pretty limited, and so we would have to have double the parking facility up there, and we have additional property out behind that very last ball field, but that's what, a quarter of a mile away. People are not, then we're going to have a shuttle to take people to the pool.
Well, so. And even if the city contributed money towards our county pool, you know, something for the county, but I don't see really the need in having two indoor pools in the same county of this size. You know, and that's what I'm thinking too. Even if the city gave money to the county for this, something that would give our citizens, it may be, and maybe if you did that, you allowed the city residents to use the county pool free of charge or whatever. I don't know, but come up with some agreement that would benefit our city residents. But to me, there would be no sense in if the county's really actually thinking about it.
Why are we spending all the money on a city pool?
Yeah, I mean, with a community of this size, why would you have two wonderful, pools like that? It just doesn't make sense.
But then again, not knowing what they're doing, if this is a 3 or 4 or 5 year plan, then we've got city residents to be concerned about for the next 4 or 5 years. What are we going to do?
Yeah, communication would be good. So who wants to go talk to them?
I mean, I'm happy to try.
Yeah, I'll go with you.
Well, what we did find is the Tony Hawk grant for a possible skate park addition.
Yeah.
And that is something, we can find a little small spot because it ain't going to take up a lot of room or something like that, and possibly find an area for that.
The pool.
Where that trailer is.
The pool, yes.
Where that trailer is, and get rid of that.
Yeah. And you could even have splash pads around that or something, But
we found a great location for a splash pad. It's just, again, the money to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Is the farmer's market area big enough to hold a swimming pool?
No.
Not with parking.
No. What is the acreage on the farmer's market?
We can't hear you.
What is the acreage on the farmer's market?
Ooh, I think it has
2 acres.
2 acres, but we also own the property right behind it. The county we keep our salt there, or the city owns that. So you actually have more property than just that. We own that building behind it and all that. So I don't know if you guys knew that. So it's like there's a salt building back there.
It's not the building that's enclosed, it's a little
No,
shed.
it's a shed on the other side, but it's actually got quite a bit of property. So
what's the acreage on the other
it's only like a quarter of an acre, I think the shed is. It's a very small.
And you can enter it off the little,
Does that
what is the
sound right,
street
Tom?
below?
About a quarter of an acre.
Stockyard?
Yeah.
About a quarter of an acre.
Give or take, yeah.
Okay, it's not a big piece, it's a little triangle. Okay.
It's not huge, but it's, the city, it would add more space, but.
If an arrangement can be made with the county, what is the major objection to it being at the recreation center where the county already has all those other facilities?
I don't have one.
I don't have one either,
I mean, Joe didn't seem to like that, but.
What's your thought process on that, Joe? Why do you think it should not be out there?
It's a little decentralized within the county, if you will. And there are just many services that are getting decentralized. The Boys and Girls Club is a network, for instance. So the people in South County can't actually use the Boys and Girls Club because of transportation. As you get into swim teams, you get into all these other things, you do get into transportation.
Yeah. Well, I like it being near the recreation center as well as I think that'd be good. That's kind of the central hub of recreation for the county, and I think they got a lot. I don't know how much property they have left, but I know they have a lot.
Oh, they have 100 acres or more.
Yeah, they've got
a lot more
land.
accommodation.
And that's such a nice facility. I mean, the whole.
Yeah, they did it well.
Yeah.
Onto it, the county did their pool, and then they're looking at splash pad.
What's that?
I said it'd be better than driving to Blairsville to take my son to physical therapy.
Yeah, agreed.
But parents are driving to Blairsville and Murphy for swim teams now, so.
How come the city, the county, and the school system, since the school system's cost dollars are a few more than ours?
A lot more.
Has anybody talked to the school system about the pool? Has there been any discussion about the pool with the schools?
There has.
Yeah.
There has. They have some interest in swim teams at this point.
Are they interested in building an aquatic center? Have you heard anything like that?
They've not committed.
Yeah.
But have you heard anything about an aquatic center? Have you had any discussion?
I've not heard anyone say that they're building an aquatic center at this point.
But interested?
There's interest. I think there's interest apparently on the county's end, on the school board's end, and
They're looking to create a swim team, indoor swimming facility, to possibly create a swim team because of the local counties above us and below us.
Right, so is anyone on this council, or has there been any discussion about the city pool? Because don't they have a lease on one of the ball fields already?
we do.
Right, and it's in the proximity of the school district, so I mean, I was just wondering if anyone on the council has actually had a discussion with board members or the school system about the city pool actually becoming an aquatic center. Has anyone had that discussion? Or
not the city pool, but we have talked to them about the park out there as a whole, as how it relates to the recreation center as recently as last month.
So there's been some discussion on selling the city park.
No.
Okay.
Selling.
All right, no, just checking. All right.
School system looked at
Well,
the city
yes.
park, they'd
Yeah.
like to see what, if the council was interested in.
Yes.
In selling it to
In
them.
possibly selling it.
Yeah.
Yes, so there has been interest in buying the city
Well,
park.
not the pool.
Not the
Well, not, they don't want the,
They don't want the pool. They
We're not
just want the
interested
ball
in that,
fields.
so I think this is
Right,
our
the ball
council's not
fields.
interested.
Okay, all right, you cleared it.
They had some interest, but their interest would have been, the city pool would have been for the school system. It wouldn't have been open to the public. And I
Right.
think we had some concerns about it not being out there for residents. Is that
So there
correct?
has been some
Yes.
talk about
There
selling,
has been talk. We are not selling the city park.
but there's
and
been talk about,
I think they have interest in having swim teams, but
Right.
the pool would have only been used possibly for the school system
Right,
and not
okay.
for the public. And
Yeah,
I think
they
that's
would
what.
even use the pool.
Yeah.
But we really got no specifics as to details, proposals, or anything else. We got no
Yes.
commitments, no proposals, no specifics.
It was more of a generic question.
That was proposed.
I understand.
And I
And
think
just
the council did not want to sell the park, so
Yeah,
that's
just-
why.
that's what I wanted to make sure you're clear of. We never discussed selling it. We were approached.
that's
Yeah,
all I
so
was.
I
But
personally
there-
don't have any interest in
Discuss, the
selling.
word discussion, I'm getting that mixed up, but they did approach you.
And we're making it nice and confusing for you too, aren't we?
Yeah, but no, they did approach you and talk to you about it. So if the pool moved out to the county, could be a possibility.
Yeah, and I think the easiest thing is if we can get them to commit to sitting down with us at a table to discuss some of this stuff, it'd be a lot easier.
Yeah. And I think, well, Robbie had a good idea too. She said we could always turn, if they did do that, if the county committed to building a really nice facility, we could put a skate park where the current pool is and then have our splash pads around that and then still have our parks, because I think our citizens like, I feel like we need to continue to own that. That's part of our heritage. That's for our county children, and we need to continue that.
And we talked about having like a nature trail out there. We've got
Yes.
additional property, about
Yes.
having like they have at the county center, where you can get out and run while your kids are playing ball. You can get out and run or walk or whatever.
And if there's enough space out there, which I don't know if we really have it, but for even biking trails or whatever, just a small little
We
biking
got all that
path.
property back
Yeah.
on concrete with.
Yeah, exactly.
There's actually a good bit of property behind the shed where they park their equipment at.
Yeah.
It goes all the way to that trailer park.
There and then down the ravine back where that concrete was dumped.
Yeah, and on the other side you got that.
Okay, so anything else about the pool? Any other comments?
My question is,
You might have to come up here. I don't know if they can hear you back there, Kim.
my question is, I'm kind of concerned on how are we going to open the pool this year? Whether it's be in April?
Tony's going to give us an estimate in April, at our April meeting, if they approve that, if it's a minor fix and they decide to approve that.
With
then
all
we
the
should-
work that has to be done to it, and with all the electrical upgrade that has to be done in the chemical room.
Okay, as I had said earlier about the chemical room and those upgrades, those will be done if we renovate that pool. So I don't think that the power is not what's keeping the pool from running, it's the piping that's keeping it from running. Like the new pump, the pump's been working on the pool, and so I think you've rebuilt it a couple of times.
Well, I rebuilt it last year.
Okay. So I think we can get through the season with that if it's not major piping issues that cost tens of thousands of dollars.
Your concern with the chemicals is because we're spending so much as chemicals. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, the chemical room itself needs, the wiring all needs upgraded in it. It's not up to code. There's a lot of wiring in there. The chemicals need to be separated away from that. But we discussed we were going to get a separate building for that.
Yeah, and you were going to get a separate building to move the chemicals out.
But I'm
So that's
concerned
just,
how
if
we
we
were gonna
move forward,
do
you'll
all
still
of
do
this
that.
In time for it to open.
Yeah, I think we'll work towards getting repairs in for open, but and so there's a lot of code issues out there, and it can go on forever.
Yeah, so
after going a couple of contractors out there, it's a mess.
That's what my concern was. How are we going to work all of that, and get all that done before the pool is?
well, I think we got to figure out what we can take that's doable and what's feasible financial. I mean, if it's major plumbing, I don't know that we can afford to do that this year. I mean, it was real disappointing when I heard how much it might possibly be if it's that type of plumbing. Hopefully it's a minor fix, that $5,000 to $10,000 that he quoted us earlier.
I mean, just operating the pool is expensive with the leak that the pool has, the chemicals. It's my understanding the hot tub store said last year, where are y'all putting all these chemicals? Because we bought so many chemicals, and I forgot how much they told me, but is it $5,000 a month that was being spent on just maintaining the pool with the chemicals alone because of the leaks and the drawdown of the water.
But now one of the things that they did determine was the valves were not cutting off. So that was, as soon as the pumps ran, that was pulling water out of there. So if the valves are a minor fix, is that a minor fix? Okay. So if that's a big part of the leak, then that may change the numbers for us a lot.
How long has this been on? I mean, how long?
I think we just found out about the valves 4 weeks ago.
The
4 years?
The process is supposed to go on like 3 years.
I mean, if it's been leaking water like this
Not until we did the new fence and the new concrete.
Whatever concrete got done is when it started.
And that's only been 2 summers.
Yeah, we've been putting money into the pool every
2 summers?
Yeah.
2 summers since the concrete was done?
Yeah.
Or was that just last summer?
That was last summer, I believe.
So I do feel like that it's going to be coming. So, somebody else said something, but I don't know where that came from.
Does the city have the resources or the staff to be able to do a little research of comparable cities and what they've done, what best practices they have, what horror stories they may have to share, and what good results they've had in this issue? I mean, we've been talking about this pool for 45 minutes or so, or 30 minutes, and surely somebody can just call a few cities and find out.
They build new pools after that.
They build, yeah.
This pool.
We have talked to surrounding counties and stuff, like Eaton County, and we've talked to a lot of people that's done new pools to just get ideas on cost and who they use, who the contractors were, which is why we've been meeting with them.
This pool is probably, it's 50 years old.
It's time to retire.
I'm sure it's 50 years old. Well, I won't even tell how old I am, but I was there as a child. I found pictures the other day, and I was out there swimming, so, and
The average life
it's been there a while.
County city pool is 25 years max.
You said Union County instead of not Blairsville City. I mean, maybe. I mean, there you go. It might be a county.
I think that's great if we can do that.
Well, and Jan made a really good point. When you look at these numbers, this 1,429 people that actually visited our pool last year, there was another 492 that were also part of day camp, which is part of the rec center, the day camp. So it does kind of make sense for the county to have the pool rather than a small city like us with 1,290 residents. Most of our residents are 65 and older.
Day camp is held, I mean, they take the kids out to the recreation center in the summertime too, because if you go out there, if you ever go out there and walk or whatever at the rec center, you'll see the kids out there, they're out there all day. Playing basketball, doing different events.
Can we put Jeff on, maybe Jeff on trying to set up a meeting with the county, and maybe really pinpoint, and he has to go there every day to try to get a meeting with him so we can sit down at the table with him and discuss it, because
I'd like to get with either Blairsville or Union too and see where their funding came from, how they made this work.
I did talk with Mark Paris, and he self-funded it. The county self-funded it, so they did it.
Do they have a special SPLOST, just like the county does for their rec?
Murray County did the same thing just recently. Was it Murray County?
I don't remember. No, I just know
Murray County, I think, is the other county, and they actually paid for theirs. I did talk to a city, I believe it was Sandy Springs, and they just did Sandy Springs or Sugar Hill, I can't remember. But anyway, they did basically the same thing. They paid for it. They're funded. So I don't know that it wouldn't be a bad idea to have the meeting with the commissioners and maybe even the rec center. Maybe the people from the rec center at the same time.
Yeah, I'll talk to Leo now. He'd be interested.
Okay, good.
So can we get this set up?
He'd be interested in meeting with
us. See if we can all meet.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Leo now, he said he'd be interested in listening to this.
And listening to our dialogue?
Listening to their options.
Good.
Kim, have you had any conversation with Mr. O'Neill at all about this?
No.
Okay. Maybe you can call him in the morning and see if he or any of his board members have an interest in talking with the council too. So I think the rec center is a big part of it. Okay. All right. Anything else? Any public comments that have not already been said? And I'm sorry, Joe, but it's just so much easier for,
I got one left.
you're getting your exercise tonight too, so.
And I apologize for being late. I was over at the county commission giving a speech earlier this evening. Y'all probably dealt with infrastructure earlier, but again, if you look at what the state did in House Bill 170 in 2015, they put together a bill to fund transportation. Right now, the county funds their transportation through SPLOSH. There is a capital SPLOSH that we can actually use, the normal SPLOSH, for all this infrastructure stuff, for the city, for the county, for the things we actually need. The road department, literally, this is city roads and county roads, should be funded by the provisions of House Bill 170. That's why David Ralston spent so much time getting it passed. Now, that said, the county and the city did meet about a year and a half ago on this subject, and that we got nowhere from either side. We actually convened a city council meeting within the county commission meeting, and we didn't get very far. But that's still a very viable thing. And David Ralston, in his re-election speech, just simply said to us, it's time to modernize. He used those exact words in a speech he wrote, saying that we need to modernize. And I say we have to modernize in Fannin County and the city of Blue Ridge and do joint ventures on infrastructure. My opinion is if the city of Blue Ridge fails, the county fails. We cannot have a county without a viable city of Blue Ridge. We got tens of millions of dollars of need, and from listening to conversations, we don't have the budget solution. So the budget solutions for most of this, literally House Bill 170, joint ventures with the county, get transportation where transportation should be, and get capital infrastructure where capital infrastructure should be. And both the city and the county have capital plans and long-term plans. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Anyone else?
On the farmer's market, one more thing. I've heard a lot of great ideas for the use, but I understand the school system is looking for property for a bus barn. Wouldn't that be the perfect spot right below them? Are they not looking? I just wondered.
Do you have an opinion, Joe?
I just wondered if they talked to them about a bus barn. School system's got money. Just wondering.
Settles that.
Yeah, I think they bought some.
Put it in the parish
last
behind the
week.
school.
Yeah, I think they bought another piece last week.
Did they buy a piece for the bus barn?
I believe so. That's what I heard.
Okay.
1 acre, so, yeah, that joins the
For
existing property.
$250,000.
Was it 250? Oh, wow.
I didn't know that was the bus barn.
We'll go ahead and finish up. There's no other conversations? Nothing else for the city council? Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Thank you all for